Hey Virgos, this is Hal for HES Ultimage, and this is your divination forecast for the month of April. Hey guys, so I know there have been a few questions about March as far as, number one, why the heck were the March videos so short? And number two, what the hell happened to your other videos? So I'm going to be covering a lot of that with a lot of other updates. So if you'd like to listen, then please do, because it explains a lot of what's been going on for me. Um, and if you're really antsy and you don't feel like listening to it, then you can always fast forward to when I'm holding up the cards and you'll just figure out when the beginning was, okay? You might have to scroll around a little bit on that. All right? Okay, so I'm going to get started with the rundown of updates I have for you because quite obviously you didn't really get any kind of update in March, which is highly unlike me as well, as you know. Alrighty. So starting it off, what I was going through, because I know a lot of people knew I was going through a rough time between end of February into early March. I was going through a spiritual ascension. It's pretty much an evolution of your, spiritual gifts and abilities. Um, as many people know from my other videos, like, roughly, like, what my abilities are. Well, I was going through an overload of energy by experiencing new levels of what I was capable of. Basically, now I understand that I can actually intuit spirit through my physical body, like a channeler or a medium. Um, and also, I learned automatic writing during that period. And, like, because I went through such an overload of information, because I wound up channeling way too many different entities or spirits or sources at one time, that I, like, just overloaded and tanked my energy completely. I describe it as I was like Phoenix from X-Men, where she like freaks out and goes into overdrive and is like, I am Phoenix, and then burns everything to the ground and then collapses on herself. That was me for like, for a while. But within that, it was very challenging when I really hit rock bottom, tanking my energy 2 times. First time it felt like my entire body was on fire, and I had to like revive myself from death. And then the second time it felt like my heart was being repetitively stabbed with a knife. So fun stuff, that spiritual ascension. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure those things would be what people would call spiritual death, but can't confirm that completely since I've never experienced it before this point, but I would be pretty sure that's probably what it was with those two areas. But anyhow, feeling so much better now. Got some help from a very important person for me, and she helped me get through it because I didn't have a lot of people to turn to know what the hell was going on with me. But anyhow, so within that period, I did remove the other videos, and it's so funny because it's like it seemed like a perfectly adequate idea at the time. But the funny thing is, I got rid of 2 decks that just like weren't very me. So those have kind of been like blanked out from the history now, and it's like now moving forward without them, and I got some new decks, and yeah, it just like I wanted to move in fresh with this new energy because April is signaling like this push into the new energy that I was talking so much about in February, because I know a lot of people heard, some people like heard the Pisces video who weren't even Pisces, where I described that we're entering a period where intuitive gifts, abilities, and sensations are going to become far more common to the collective, and that people are kind of learning how to apply that in their everyday life and also to balance themselves within it. And a lot of us were experiencing spiritual or emotional crises during end of February into early March. And then mid to end March was like a healing period, and then April's where we finally all get the momentum to push forward into the new energy again in a much more empowered way. I'm seeing this all over for everybody, but I gotta say for Virgos, um, it's actually, you've got a lot of cards, a lot of cards, including a cycle over the trump of the overall month. So you guys are going to be having some big energy. Where it goes, nobody knows. We'll figure that out in a little bit. But all right. Other thing that happened during that period, I did have to refund about a week's worth of readings because I was not well enough to do them. Like, that was the point where it's like my body was on fire and stuff. That only lasted for maybe an hour. Well, okay, longer than an hour, but it was like, you know, a good few hours to like half a day. But I mean, like, you know, it still took me time to like regain all my energy back up and stuff. But during that week period, I knew I was not capable of reading for anybody. And with my mentality and philosophy, I believe very strongly in the ethics of what I do. So I'm sorry if I couldn't do the reading for you. It's not that I didn't want to do it, but I couldn't, in good conscience, do you a reading when I couldn't feel spirit or energy because I was so blocked up and stuff, and like so confused by the source and all of that stuff. So I mean, now obviously, like, I'm reconnected with my normal energy, my normal guide, all that stuff. All the excess has been removed. Thank you, White Sage. But yeah, and it's funny because I never used White Sage ever before. I'm a believer. Yeah, okay, I'm a believer now. But anyhow, so I do apologize if I did have to refund your reading during that period. I would love to read for you someday because I do know that I do readings in ways that nobody else does. Kind of one of those things when you do your own spreads and you do so many different spreads about different areas of people's lives. So I mean, you know, I'm back and functioning now, but yeah, I mean, again, it's not that I didn't want to, but I couldn't have, in good conscience, done your particular reading in that state. But like everybody else who got their stuff within that period is a-okay. I wouldn't have sent it out unless I felt confident about it and my connection, okay? All right, but anyhow, moving on to a few other updates, and then we'll be moving on to the reading. I know, it's a longer update because it's been a longer period that I've gotten to speak to you, okay? Had my birthday just past March the 20th. Hung out with my brother and my family in Colorado, which was very nice, and that was when I was like finally snapped out of things anyhow, so I could finally like actually enjoy it and enjoy the company of the people I love. So that was good. All right, now moving on to another area. As many people know who might have listened to some of my other videos before I took them down, or even in a personal every once in a while when it has to do with business, I was actually planning a comic company before I started doing this work as work. I mean, I was reading my cards for a few years before I ever opened this to everybody else, even though I was reading for people, you know, like my friends and family, whatever. But yeah, so during that period, it was like the year before, I was planning this comic company and very, very deeply and intricately. I mean, I'm registered with the government. I have all the registrations. I did everything other than, you know, my artist cut out on me after our year anniversary and the comic never got made, but I had my logos, I had merchandise, and that's where this comes in. I got these beautiful steel and silicone bracelets imported from China, directly to my specifications. These are custom bracelets designed completely in my image. The company was a very small company, so attentive, uses quality materials, were above and beyond what I could have expected for my first experience importing a product. They were phenomenal. But anyhow, I have these bracelets and I was gonna save them for the comic company because I'm stubborn like that because I've got tons of Capricorn and Taurus in my chart. But after talking with a friend and like seeing that they actually contain these bioelements that help balance the energy in your body, and at the time I was just like, oh, well, that's a cool extra, but I really just wanted the cool fashionable bracelets. But anyhow, so after thinking about that, I was like, these are actually kind of relevant to my website as it is now. And because your body's energy is very important for spiritual being and spiritual work. But also they just look really banging. You'll see them in a second. But anyhow, coincidentally, my branding colors for my company were prism colors, which coincide with the colors of the chakras, which was very, very coincidental indeed, because I never realized that until now. But but yeah, the comic company is called Destiny Line Comics. I can say is because I still technically own the company. It's just not functioning. But anyhow, I am going to show you those bracelets because they are going to be available on my website. No pressure or anything, but it's just like, why not let people enjoy them? Like, when I was talking with my artist, that back when we first got these, a woman just came up to me in the cafe in the Panera Bread and was like, "Can I buy one of those?" Like, not even having it be a piece of merchandise for the comic company, just thinking it's a really boss bracelet. So here we go. I'm going to show you all the colors. They have different metal colors according to which strap I chose because that's the way I wanted it. Contrasting colors to really heighten the design aspect. So here we go. Black metal is light blue, super popular. Everybody goes nuts for this one. I'm sure I'm gonna have to buy like extra quantities eventually. Because this is just the first run that I've got, guys, and then I do have to do a reorder or something. Red, which is also black metal. Very nice. Silver metal. Dark blue. And the colors are turning out pretty good now in this video, but I'm going to have a picture of them on my website so you can see the exact color, because sometimes they turn up a little light because of the auto lighting. Black with silver metal. Green is silver metal. All right. Then gold metal, which is my personal favorite. Violet, my personal favorite, period. Yeah. Orange. Yeah. And last but not least, yellow. All right. Okay, and like I said, they're quality materials. It's super comfortable. As you can already see, the steel is super lustrous. Like they polish it more times than like any other factory for that reason. Um, and if you'll give me a second, I'll also show you because there's an emblem here. It's the company logo, which is an inkstone with lines running from it, and it represents the idea that the choices the inkstone represents the stake that we hold in our own future, and the lines represent all of those events that spring from our decisions that are completely unknown or unpredictable. It's kind of like, for people who have watched my website for a long time, the concept of the human element. The inkstone is the human element, actually. But yeah, so that's the meaning of the logo. But it's just really cool stuff, and I'm happy to be able to finally share it with people. And that's the other thing, they're fully adjustable, so if you have a super tiny wrist like me, it'll fit you. And if you're like my bestie and you have a super gigantic wrist, it'll fit you too. It fits both of us. And that was a big stipulation for me too, is that it was adjustable so everybody can enjoy it. But anyhow, so those will be available through my website for purchase. And yes, they get mailed to you, because I know people are probably like, he only emails his readings, so how's this going to get to me? That's how. Like, I will be literally mailing those to your address. All right, okay, guys. So that said, springboarding off of that really quick, and then just one more thing, and then we're good to go. If you are an artist or you know an artist of considerable talent and ability who might be interested in collaborating on this project to create a comic or many comics down the line, or if you know various artists who work together, whatever, who might be interested in collaborating with me or working with me. I'm a writer. This was all a thing to, like, bring my writing into the mainstream and, like, again, let people actually enjoy these things, because I know that I'm a fantasy writer and I write quite unlike anybody I've ever read, and it's all very progressive. It's not traditional. It's very new in spirit and essence. And yeah, I've just got stuff, and I know it's big stuff and has big messages, so it's like, yeah, I never really gave up on that, and I still, want to do something with it. So if you know someone, or if you want to give me a lead, or you want to give them a lead and hook me up or them up, can contact me through Facebook. Sorry, not Facebook. I never go on my Facebook. Sorry, guys. Contact me through YouTube, contact me through my website, which the link is below, and you know, we can talk about stuff, you know, hit stuff around. I'm very flexible with my schedule because this is my full-time job now, which is super awesome, and never got to make official announcement about that. But yeah, so and obviously, like, we wouldn't be able to make any money off the comic until we actually produced a physical comic, but then obviously everyone would be receiving compensation. Okay, alrighty. Last but not least, videos are going to be back at their regular length, alright? I might start doing some weeklies again. I know some people were really disappointed when they went away, but now that this is my full-time gig, I might have time sometimes to make one, but they're not going to be consistent. It wouldn't be every week. It would just be, oh, this week I feel like I have enough time to do a weekly. Let's do it. Or like, okay, this week feels lighter to me, so that way I'll do it. Or even if I'm just like, wow, I feel like everybody needs a message this week, I'll just do it. You know? Okay, so there'll be situations where I will, but it's not going to be consistent. Okay, it'll be like, one week it'll be there and one week it won't. So, I mean, and if I'm really busy, then I might not be able to do any, but it's my intention that I might bring a few in, so keep a lookout for it, because it might be there and you might get the message you need at the time you need it. Last but not least, as far as educational videos, I'm hoping to reinstate those, because I did take down the few Crystal Med ones I had, but in fairness, the most important ones, I accidentally said the F word, and then I have to self-censor, and then nobody except people who have a legit YouTube account can see them. So it's probably better that I have to redo those, so that way everybody can get that as a resource. But alright, now we're ready for the reading! Yay! And this is probably going to be a long video because there are a lot of cards here, guys. Alrighty. Okay. So we're going to start with the overall energy of the month. Yeah. Ooh, God, you guys have great energy already, but I'm going to actually... Yeah, I'm going to look at all of them just to get the full, because there are a lot of cards here. Wow, okay, because it's weird because I figured, like, you guys might be bridging the gap of the rest of your process. For some reason, I just had a feeling that Virgos might just be a little behind. Not a personal thing, it's just what I felt when I saw so many cards here, that maybe you're still just finishing your process of that, you know, that thing that was really tricky, that, like, really intense period. For some reason, I'm getting a feeling that maybe Virgos were experiencing it a little later than everybody else, in which case then you're going to recover from it a little later. Meaning probably within April is more your recovery period. I forget what your March was, guys. I'm sorry. But anyhow, here we go. Oh, and all new cards. I think I mentioned it, but in case you didn't hear it, all new cards. The Gentleman and the Bouquet. And I've still got my classic cards, too. We'll go back to mixing them all together next month. Next set. Sacred Convergence and Full Circle. This is where I'm really getting that idea of that, you know, whole big shift period that we were all going through. Then the cycle around it, this is where I'm seeing that you're probably still doing your recovery period. Bam. Free Fall and Ring of Water. Okay, and now I'm going to explain all of them, okay? You're like, okay, great, Hal, you showed us all the cards, but what the hell do they mean? Okay. So, Gentleman and the Bouquet. So, Bouquet represents something that is being bestowed upon you, something that is being gifted to you. And it's a beautiful gift. It's a beautiful bestowing. Don't get suspicious about it. I know people were really shaken up by that February-March period, which for you might have been a March period, you know, because I'm sensing it might have been later. But Gentleman represents things that are sophisticated, poised, and everything like that. So whatever's being bestowed upon you, there's a sense of formality to how it's given to you. and a sense of class about how it's given or bestowed upon you. Okay, guys? So whatever you're receiving, it's going to be given to you in a manner that is very dignified. Okay, in a manner that is very mannerly. Okay? I know that was really redundant, but mannerly is the word I want to use. And again, this could be given to you by a person, by yourself, or by the universe itself, okay? Next is sacred convergence with full circle. Full circle has to do with seeing the full extent of how things have happened in order to understand the karmic relation. In other words, understanding the big picture, all right? A lot of people have been getting this one, okay? It's a really important card. Paired with sacred convergence, no less. God, guys, this is exactly what I was just saying. It has to do with that idea of this period that we've all been going through that maybe you went through just a little bit later. It's seeing the sacred significance, the spiritual significance of what those events were meant to teach us in order to be more empowered within them. And because these are all kind of sharing the same area, that might be where the gift comes from, okay? All right. Here's the cycle. Because this is a cycle for a monthly, this lesson repeats itself over and over within the month of April for Virgos, okay? Free fall and ring of water. Free fall shows me you're still finding your footing within this process. Don't worry, it's gonna happen. We know there's a gift involved and that you see the big picture and the spiritual significance. I'm not worried about that. Free fall shows me you might continue to feel ungrounded throughout April. Gotta be honest about that, guys. But here's the good news. Ring of Water cycling with free fall is showing me that your emotions are given grounding and protection through that process. So what the hell does that mean? You're gonna feel shaken up or like your grounding is not with you or like the rug's being pulled out from under you repetitively. But every time it happens, you're going to find the stability to come back to center. Okay? So it's like I was saying, and I mean, this is really, really specific to what I was already feeling. In April, Virgos are still going to be going through a period where they're like, oh God, like, is it over yet? And no, guys, I'm sorry. For you, it isn't, at least not until maybe the end. We'll see reaping and we'll see what happens. Remember, this is just the overall energy. We've got our whole classic set to go. But this is showing me right now, at least through the process of April, you're not going to have your grounding just yet. And that's a-okay, because I think you were experiencing the shakeup maybe a little later than everybody else was. And I was actually wondering about that, if that was going to start happening for someone. Like, I felt like maybe a few signs would be behind when it comes to that intense period. Energy that surrounds you in this month, this is a great energy. It's the stork. Okay? Stork represents new experiences, new opportunities, new birth, and also transition. In this case, I think it's more about the transition, I gotta be honest. And because, again, our goal is to transition into the new energy, and again, I think you're going to be a little later, but I do think it's coming, and I really want to see the rest of this so I can get the full-fledged vision of that. Energy, yep. We got this, guys. Virgos are going to get it. It's a-okay. I already saw that, but now we get even more of that energy. Energy you're bringing across the waters. That shows me the transition will be a success. It's like, I think in the beginning of April, you're on the one side of the pond, and by the end of April, you've made it to the other side, okay? Here's the other complete and utter reassurance of that one. Sweet Soul Rising. All right? So Sweet Soul Rising shows me you're kind of ascending into that new energy. You're making the transition gracefully. And that's the best we can hope for, right, guys? All right, now we're going to keep going. We've got a few more sets here, as you know. All right. Reflection. This is a good one. All right. Simplicity. So I would say during the month of April, don't be too critical on yourself. I have to say that for you because between Virgo, Capricorn, and Scorpio, I call us the self-depreciating trinity of the zodiac. So don't be too hard on yourself during April. Remember, you're going to continue to feel that feeling of ungroundedness, in which case the best way for you to get back to center is to remember to keep things simple, keep things streamlined. Look at the card even. The card is just that simple black and white and just like a character and that's it. You know, it's just keep yourself in a state of, it's like that concept of the Om, where it's like there's just this one thing you focus on and therefore it gives you stability and gives you grounding. And you know what? That might be how you're going to get your emotional stability, okay? To like focus on maybe one thing, focus on the moment, just keep things, okay, like if you want to imagine your mind, try not to multitask too much, just focus on one thing or focus on one thought or feeling, okay? And then you can ensure your emotional grounding through April. All right. Action. Ha. Ha. Yeah. All right. So remember how I was saying Virgos are gonna totally like nail this one and be fine by the end of the month? You guys so totally are. Here's your action. The bear. Very triumphant, isn't he? With the fish in his mouth. He's got his stuff going on, but it just gets better, guys. The stars. Yeah. The stars. And even better, one of my faves of the new deck, the temple. All right. Now I'm going to explain everything. The bear is showing me right now the sense of reward that comes from hard work or hard effort. In this case, it's that effort of understanding the spiritual and cosmic significance of the challenges that we've had to go through. And remember, you're still finding your grounding in April, but it's totally and utterly coming. Star shows me the idea of, okay, in this case, it's showing me transcendence, I have to say. It's transcendence. It's like the idea of when somebody's moving up, you're moving up. In this case, in a spiritual sense, because then the temple, such an awesome card and has such a specific energy. I don't have any other card that has quite this energy. Temple represents someone who has become so strong and confident in who they are that they represent a state of either great strength or great sacredness, okay? So seeing the temple in your action, gotta bring this back because you do have stability within you. Don't forget that. The stability is there, and the more you learn how to use it, the more wise and sacred you become this month. And because the temple is in your action sector, it's like you need to become your own sacred space. You need to become your own rock. And in that process, you can become a rock for other people, because that's been another message for a few signs. Help other people once you are in a good state. I mean, this is just as true for me as anybody else, as I'm finding that a lot of people have gone through a very difficult time. I'm going to use the airplane analogy. Once you have your oxygen mask on, help other people with their damn oxygen mask, basically, because they need it. Like, everybody has had a really hard time in the past, you know, again, late February into March and maybe beyond, have had a hard time. And if you've gotten your grounding, then it doesn't, okay, it's not even it doesn't hurt. It's a good thing to help other people get their grounding too, because they need that support. Okay? Reaping. Oh my god. Oh, love it. You got one of my favorite cards in this other deck. And the one deck has a lot of cards, so I have a lot of favorites. Ooh, there we go. Oh, so cool. Again, guys, it's like I said, it's a really spiritual month for you, and it's a month of spiritual triumphs, okay? For some of you, this might be manifesting on a more physical or material level. If you've been having challenges within that period of fights with people in your circle, or problems with your, with your grounding as far as your home or your finances or your job, this could also represent that you will know what has been your issue in this period. It feels really spiritual and karmic to me, but it might be on the surface something that's more literal. Okay, here we go. Reaping. First set. Loving All That Is, one of my favorite cards in this new deck. The Choice. And it's so funny, because having those paired together is pretty damn obvious. You need to choose to be in love with the moment, okay? You need to choose to accept the moment and accept everything that is current when it comes to April and everything beyond April. Because again, I believe the beginning or middle of April will continue to challenge you, but by the end of it, you'll discover what you need to accept in order to feel better about life. And there are a lot of reasons to feel good. And I gotta say that about April. Everybody is getting this message. There's every reason to be happy and hopeful and to be moving into wonderful energy in April. Okay? There is no reason to live in fear anymore. We are over the hurdle. You guys are still maybe got a few more hurdles to jump, but then you're over them. Okay? And then we can get back to like enjoying life again. All right? Because again, March was like a Healy month. April is like a push into new energy month in order to just like get back to living again. Okay? Last set for reaping. Drop into your heart. Distant shores. And whispers on the wind. This has to do with where you're pushing forward towards. Drop into your heart is about being truer to yourself and to your feelings. This is about a surrender to your true feelings. So instead of doubting or second guessing or questioning what you really want, just trust, okay? That's the message of that card. Pairing with all of these, distant shores has to do with where you're going. Again, this could be spiritual. This could have more to do with things like work, relationships, or money, in which case it represents your goals. It represents where you're moving. And you got both of the kind of travel-y cards here because we've got across the waters in the energy you are bringing. You're moving towards another goal now or another destination. And you have great energy towards it. Again, it's like I said, guys, it's the push. We're getting momentum again to move into great energy again and start making shit happen in our lives again. Thank God, right? But for you, it's even that much more significant. Like for you, it's almost this idea that it's like you know what the destination is already. Like for some people, it's just great energy and that's it. Like I believe that you already see where you need to go. But guess what? You got even more of that because whispers on the wind. This is showing me the idea of messages or guidance about that destination. And again, that destination might have to do with changing a job, changing your finances, changing relationships, or just changing how you go about your everyday life through your spiritual pursuits or your spiritual connection. I cannot ignore that shit, guys. We've got friggin' sacred convergence with full circle. If I ignored that area, I'd be crazy. You guys are like, well, you could be crazy in other ways too, but we'll let that slide. Okay. But seriously, I need to push the spiritual thing because it's been a big, big catalyst for a lot of people during that period of shaking up. And it's also important to note that spirituality doesn't have to define every aspect of your life. You know, your spiritual connection doesn't have to do with your career or your relationship or money. It can just be another part of you that helps give you guidance or support when you need it in relation to those other things, but it doesn't mean that you need to like become someone totally different. Like your spiritual connection is something totally separate. So like don't fear that either if you've realized that that's what you are going through, where like maybe you had a crisis and then all of a sudden you needed that connection. Like you don't have to go, oh, like I have to become a yogi or something, you know, or like a priest or like a rabbi to be spiritual or like to have a genuine connection with the universe or God or whatever. Like you can do that on your own time. Like you don't even have to go to church or synagogue or whatever. Like, I mean, that's my personal belief system, but I'm sharing it with you because I think it might be helpful. Um, you know, you can use your connection to spirit or your desire to connect with spirit in a multitude of different ways and on different tiers of commitment, you know? But I had to add that because I feel like you've had some epiphanies about either your spiritual being or how your life path or your soul's ambition is tied to where you're going. And again, those shakeups that we've been weathering lately, the significance of it. Like, if you're not seeing the significance yet, then you're going to have to by the end of April because it's imperative to us moving into the new energy. Okay, and don't get freaked out if you don't know all the details right away, but I believe for Virgos, you're going to learn what the destination is because you have whispers on the wind, distant shores, and drop into your heart. That means on a heart or soul level, you know what the right direction is. All right, guys? Okay, so since I've already battered you with this very long reading, I'm going to let you go now. If you want a personal reading, I do hit the link below. Hope you do. Hope you get a Destiny Line bracelet. Nah, just kidding, but it'll be cool if you do because they are super awesome, and I'll see you guys later.